Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Keysha and I'm Fadila.
My name's Andrew.
Where do you come from?
I come from Canada,
Canada is in North America.
North America. That's correct.
We're from University of Bengkulu and we want to ask you some question about your culture from your country. First, when did you come to Indonesia?
I came 2013, so how many years? 13 years ago.
Why did you come?
I came with a organization seeking opportunities to develop different areas of the world, and so they decided their particular interest was in Indonesia at the time. I came first to Batam, and then later I moved here.
When did you come here?
Uh, 10 years ago or 11 years ago. So Batam only a year and a half I was there.
And have you traveled to another country?
Yes. Full power countries. On Friday I'm going to Vietnam, for example. So we travel to Jakarta first, then to Malaysia, because that's the way the plane goes, Kuala Lumpur, and then to Vietnam.
So you travel a lot for a job?
Not every month, but every year a few times.
And can you tell us any of Canadian culture?
Canadian culture is pretty mixed. At first, maybe a lot of European descent, so carrying a lot of that culture, but within that, there's a lot of mixed race. English, German, Dutch, and all these different Italian, they all have unique cultures, and so it kind of all mixes together. So you'll hear maybe North America pizza is a cultural food. It's not like pizza in Italy, it's an American version of it, because it's just kind of a mixture of people together and they begin to adapt based on what people want. So it's a bit of a mix, but it's very similar to American culture. Has differences. It's a comparison like Malaysia and Indonesia. Very similar, but also differences.
Do you have like a favorite culture or festival in Canada?
Oh, I don't know. Festivals, we don't really have nationwide festivals. Maybe there's some local festivals. My favorite would be here in Indonesia, there's really only one season. It's just always the same temperature.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more rainy, sometimes it's
Yes.
not. In Canada, because it's more north, we have usually 4 distinct seasons. One we call autumn or fall, that's when all the trees begin to change color and the leaves kind of fall down. That's what we call it fall. Then winter, which is the coldest. Then spring, it's becoming a little warmer and plants begin to grow. And then summer is basically as hot as it is here. My favorite is fall or autumn because the temperature is, it's just coming off the summer where you're too hot. So you feel a relief from summer, but it's more relaxing, and there's festivals about that. Usually festivals like, I can't think of, harvesting festivals like Panen. So farming after you gather all the crop and food, you'll have festivals related to that. Those are my favorite.
And is there a big difference about Canadian culture and Indonesian culture?
Oh yes, there's a lot of differences. Almost too many to count, but the food, very different. So here, a lot of, say the base food, maybe rice dishes, a lot of rice dishes and noodle dishes. Maybe Canada, a lot of potato dishes, or maybe, so often people ask me, oh, you eat a lot of bread. I don't, maybe that's more European culture with bread. We do eat bread, but I don't find it different here. I would say the this is more rice and noodles. In Canada, every dish often will have a potato item with it. So that's one of the differences. We'll have rice, of course. We'll have pasta or noodles, but it seems potatoes are strong. People enjoy potatoes a lot. There's a difference. Where here, if you don't have rice, it doesn't seem like a proper meal.
Yes.
So maybe you can have some noodles and that can it's not like that in Canada. And then breakfast time has a very specific foods. Usually eggs. If you've heard of cereals, you add milk with that. Those are specific to breakfast. If you eat them during lunch or supper, you would say, I'm having breakfast for lunch or supper, because it's a very unique food group just for breakfast. Where if you had, let's say, rice, it would feel very unusual during breakfast time. Someone would say, why are you having rice during breakfast? That's not a breakfast food. Like it's not allowed, but of course it's all food, it doesn't matter. So it feels wrong for some reason, even though it's not wrong.
Okay, are there any daily habits or social etiquette rules to your culture that visitor should know before coming to Canada?
North Americans in general are very independent. So a lot of stuff we do, we value a lot of independence. Sometimes that comes across as rude to other cultures because we don't want to, let's say, for example, here I see groups, they'll wear the same clothing and when they're traveling, they'll have the same luggage, they'll be in the same team. Canadians would not like that at all. They want to stand out, they want to feel independent, and they don't like to be associated too much with a group. So they might almost protest that, but it's just for some reason it's just not a value to be too group identity. They have a lot of individual identity. So there's a strong value to being an individual and standing out, which can come across as others sometimes as a little bit too direct or a little bit too rude, but it's not. They value being direct, being not rude, but not saying insulting words, but you're allowed to be very direct to people, and people desire that kind of response.
When you're traveling abroad, is there a cultural habit from home do you find hardest to leave behind or like you miss the most?
I've been here a while and I've adapted quite a bit, so it's hard to think back on what I missed the most or what's hard to do here. In terms of seasons, I miss seasons in Canada. It's you get into a winter season, it's cold. Eventually you get tired about it, you just want the warmth to come. And then it does come, and then everyone's happy, and there seems to be a natural shift that affects people's mood, and they become happy. Where here, there doesn't have a seasonal shift like that where people are excited and happy. Naturally, where every season's very similar, so there's not a seasonal push. I miss that the most, so it's hard to get kind of an annual routine. In Canada, they often will routine your life around these seasons, these 4 seasons. And so if I try and plan myself around those, it just doesn't fit the same way. And so I need to change the way I think about that.
And what's your, do you have your favorite Canadian dish that you recommended to us or to others?
It's hard to isolate a Canadian dish because, you could say something like lasagna, well that's not Canadian, that's Italian. You could say some other dish, you could say, well that's not that, that's German, or that's English, or something, because this kind of mixture of all these things. The things that Canadians are known for, are hard to just say is a complete dish. They're more like little add-ons. Maple syrup is a big thing, but that's not a dish. That's a syrup, a sweet syrup that you put over top of something. Usually pancakes. Have you heard of pancakes? So that's something that Canadians are known for, but I wouldn't say pancakes is a complete meal. It's sort of something sweet. It's actually a breakfast. There's also something called poutine. That's unique in all over the world. Poutine is French fries with gravy and cheese put on top. It's just a unique thing. If you talk about it somewhere else, they won't know what you're talking about. So it's an only Canadian. I don't even know what the word poutine means. That's what it's called. It was some sort of French word. That would probably be the most unique.
Is there any stereotypes about Canadian that are actually true, and which ones are totally wrong?
Often Canadians would be compared to Americans because we're so similar in culture. So Canadians are often seen as a little bit more polite. Now that's not completely true. Everyone is polite, but I think what it means is Americans are a little bit more direct when they speak, and Canadians are maybe a little bit more, come across as friendly because they're not as direct like that. Americans tend to be more political. Canadians less political, so we're not interested in our own country's politics. We can be a little bit more open, talking about other stories of people. Where I find Americans tend to be very inward in all the stuff they talk about their own country and their own politics. And they can't seem to see outside of that. So those are right stereotypes that Canadians typically are a little bit more polite in a way that they can connect with other cultures a little quicker rather than just their own culture. We say, let's say, A lots. At the end of something, you say, oh, how are you doing, A? Just say the word A at the end of it. That seems to be a stereotype, and it's kind of true. A lot of people do say that, not everyone does, but it's so you can just, at the end of everything, just say A. Maybe it's kind of like saying la. It doesn't really have a meaning, it just is a way to make a sentence feel more natural.
And the last question is, what is something special but something small but special that makes life in Canada different from another country?
Something little, but significant. Well, that's hard to say. Than other countries. Moving to a different country, you're often told about all the cultural differences and to prepare yourself. It's called cultural shock. You get shocked into all these crazy differences that you're not used to. Usually you're okay with the big things, but it's the 1,000 little things that are difficult day to day because, like I said, a staple for breakfast is maybe cereals. Well, that's not a staple here. So if I wanted to search for that, it'll be difficult for me to get exactly what I want. I can get it a little bit, but it doesn't really hit the same way. So a lot of stuff like foods, you maybe desire a more of a flavor that you're used to. But they just don't sell it here because it's not a demand. It's just more interested. So all these tiny little things your day to day are the most challenging when moving to a new country. The big things you're ready for, you're prepared for, because everyone warns you about the big things.